Good morning, YouTube. Today I'm going to do a video on how to hang tongue and groove ceilings solo. I'm doing this ceiling. I already did this vault, this over here. I've already done another vaulted room over here and a sunroom over there. And I have got 16-foot boards and some 12-footers, but pretty much doing all 16-footers today. And I've got this whole vaulted ceiling, 38 feet long, and it's about 16 feet to the peak. The total span is 25 rows that are gonna go up there. And I'm doing this solo. So how do you do tongue and groove ceiling by yourself, especially when it's up high vaulted? Well, scaffolding is a big part of it. Obviously, I've got everything staged here where I can do the first half. Then when I get up higher up, I'm gonna have to figure out how to get more scaffolding. I can double these up, but we'll get to that. But really what we're talking about is how to get the tongue and the groove tightly fit together so that everything looks good and professional when you're done. There's a few tips and tricks that you wanna do before you even get started, because if you're solo, you wanna be able to cut, stack boards, nail boards up. You want to minimize going up and down and up and down. It'll wear you out. So there's a few things that I've done to prep this, to make this go easier, that I thought I'd show you before I even get started. All right. Number one, over here, if you can see, let's see. Number one, if you can see over here, I've got a 2x2 that I've screwed in place that's on the gabled end. It is just below where my boards are gonna fit. So I can slide my boards along here and rest that on there and not have to physically hold up that end. It's not gonna be tied up against the framing, but it'll hold it somewhat in place. And so I don't have to do the manual labor of holding that up while nailing up a 16-footer. So that's one thing you can definitely do to help with picking those longer boards up and holding them. The other is I've made these little brackets. And the idea is, as I've got this board here set up and it's nailed, I can come up the rafter with it, screw this board in, this little bracket, and then I can kind of slide this underneath here and then drop it back down into the groove. So that's gonna make things a lot easier. I've got two of those. So between the gabled end support and two brackets, I can easily hold up a 16-footer. So I've got two of those. Another thing that I'll do here, this is from yesterday. I don't know if you can read that, but basically, before I even get started, I measure the tape measure going this way, and then the tape measure, actually I've got it backwards. Tape is going this way, and then on this one, the tape's going this way. So I come in and I measure each of my trusses or my rafters so that I know what all my distances are and where my joints are gonna be, so that I can stand down here and say, okay, I don't want a joint there, I want it over here. And I already know what measurements that I need to do. So I can pre-cut a few rows, come down, pre-cut, stack them up, install, double check my measurements. Sometimes the framing can vary slightly, and double check it, come back down, cut a few more rows, stack it up, and install it. That way I'm minimizing my back and forth time. So another thing that is a common issue that you'll see, I've got these in my tool belt. When you are fitting the tongue and the groove together, you know, this is lumber. And it's all kiln dried, and so it can have some waves in it. It's not straight 100%. Sometimes the tongue and the groove don't line up perfectly. You've got to pretty much beat those into place to make that happen. If I'm putting this board in and I'm trying to get, let's say this board, let's say this is the board's already installed, because you install the groove would go down first and the tongue is facing the next board. Always do it that way, never this way. Always have the tongue facing so the next board can slide into it. But if I'm having to finagle this and kind of beat this in, sometimes people want to just beat with a hammer on the tongue of the other one. But if you look at this tongue, this is a piece that I was using yesterday. you could see where my hammer has destroyed this tongue. I hope that's coming through. So what I do, I cut some little 2-inch blocks. I keep them in my tool bag, and I have them so that if I have to beat a board into place, if this is the board that's already nailed into place, I can take this little block, slide it in, and then I pound on my hammer on this basically sacrificial block, and then I can put those together and I don't damage my board that's already nailed up. So I keep a few scraps in here, 4 or 5 in here, because they tend to fall apart. And then the other thing is sometimes no matter how much you bang them in together, it's just not gonna go fit together. So what I do is, you can see this one's got some nail holes. I've already used it. You can either nail this to the face of the truss, or a lot of times I'll do it just nailed to the side, and then I cut a little wedge. See the wedge? If you cut a wedge with the groove side, let me get a board. So if this is the board that I'm trying to nail in and it's not fitting, I put my block up here on the side of the rafter. If my rafter's right here, I nail it, and I put this in here tied up against here, and then I can come in with my wedge with the groove on that tongue, and as I beat this wedge with my hammer, it'll push the board that I'm trying to finagle into place. And so I keep all of these scraps in my tool belt so that when I'm up top, I've got them handy. I can go, put them installed, boom, I'm done. I usually will nail those blocks on the side of the rafter instead of screws because I'm trying to get this done quickly. So I'll nail it to the side. I will put my wedge in, I'll get it all in, I'll nail the board off, and then I'll just beat up into the attic space with the hammer and just nail that, get that block out of the way. You can leave it, you can take it off, you can pull the nails out, whatever you want to do. I've got plenty of scraps. A lot of times I'll just leave them up there if they don't come out right away, because this is a vaulted ceiling, no one's going to be walking up there, it doesn't matter. So you want to have your wedges, you want to have your blocks so you can beat this, you want to have your brackets, and you want to have your 2x2 on the side. So we're going to start with our first piece, and we're going to run it down the length here, and that is going to be installed tied up against the sheetrock, and it's going to be installed with the groove facing down with the tongue facing the next board. I've already measured. I know that all my distances are basically the same. I don't have to square anything up. I can just go tight to the sheetrock just like I did these, and you can see everything works out nice and straight. And I'll see if I can get this up high. You can get an idea of what these joints end up looking like when you do it right. Everything's nice and tight. You don't have big gaps around your fixtures. Everything looks good. Let's do this. So I've got my first board up. That's just tied up against the wall, nothing to it. I've got my 2x2 on the gabled in wall, and I've got these 2 brackets here to kind of help me rest this into place. Hopefully, that one there. So there you go. So what I did is I was able to slip it under this one. These are loose, and I just spun it out of the way and spun it around. So now it's loosely in place. It's obviously not nailed in place. It's not in the tongue and groove, but hey, I can work with this solo. This is way more cumbersome. These 16 footers are way more cumbersome than the 12 footers. The 12 footers I can actually manhandle. I don't need any brackets. I can drop one end in, I tack a nail in it, get it tight, tack a nail in it, and then walk it down, and I'm good. These 16 footers, there's no doing that, at least I'm not. So now what I'm gonna do is come in here and walk in the tongue and groove so that it's not gonna slide out. I'm gonna start here because I've got that 2x2 at the end. I know that's not gonna fall out, but this bracket is maybe a little more precarious. And so I'm gonna just walk this in. And you can't tell, but it's actually in solid all the way to here. And then down here, it's not, because it is not lined up. There. All right, that's it. A good night. If these will just all be so easy. Okay, so I say that. Let's get the camera over here, see if you can see that. So I started off, one, you always want to try and start off with good straight boards. I don't know if you can tell this. This was in the tongue and groove, but now it's out. And it's in down there, so obviously there's a bow in it. So I'm gonna go ahead and nail this end in, and then I will walk that in so that we'll be good to go. So we're gonna come over here, set you up here on my scaffold. All right, I'm tight there. And as far as nailing, we're blind nailing these. We're not nailing in the face. We're doing this at a 45 inside just this side of the tongue in this groove. And that mostly hides the nails and keeps everything tight. All right. That's actually pretty good. So we're basically nailed off, ready to go. Let's go move down. I'm gonna take these brackets down, we'll set it up and we'll do it again. All right, here you can see this bracket. It's kind of loose, but you can see the other board's nice and straight. It'll allow me to fish this up in here, kind of hold it in place. There we are. Again, not tacked into place, but I'm not having to manhandle it and hold it. Get the camera up here, you can see this. See this joint? It's flush up here and it's loose down there because it's not walked in. It's only in the tongue and groove right here. So I'm gonna tack a nail in here, and then this joint will tighten up as I get the rest of it in. So that is what we're gonna do. Just put one nail in, boom. Now it's in. So we got a bow at the end again. So we'll start nailing it down here. It's a little tight at this joint. You always want to double check as you're nailing. All right, so I don't know if you can see, this board's all nailed in, but this has got a slight bow to it. So I'm gonna show you what we talked about. I'm gonna get this block, I'm nailing it. You can nail them on the face, but honestly, I find it easier just to nail it on the side. Then you get your wedge, put it with the groove into the tongue. Can you see that? I don't know if I can pull that back out. But basically, That is super tight. So you're just nailing a block here, put a few blocks so it doesn't fall off, put in this wedge in here, and now this joint is super tight. And then once I nail this off, I can pop this off and the wedge comes off. That is how you make sure all your seams are super good and tight and professional looking. So let's see if you can see that. This board, pop this in, see how that's loose right there. I can tack this nail in and then I'll walk in the other side and that will tighten up that joint. So here's another little trick. These can lights for the slope ceiling are not perfectly round. You can't just take the diameter and draw it out and boom, you're done. They're actually very oddly shaped. They're kind of shaped like a human head actually. So how do you, if you're by yourself, how do you get that template? Well, my dear, wonderful Kelly gave me this great idea. Tinfoil. Get a piece of tinfoil, put it up there, stick it up there, get it all wrapped tight around it, and then you take it off and then you trace that onto your cardboard and poof, you've got your template. Super easy, works really well. Then all you have to do is measure off your boards to the center line and how much below the outlet, the fixture, how much of that wood remains, get those dimensions, mark that up, and then cut it with a jigsaw and install it and do the same for the top, and you're off to the races. So if you need to make a template, or maybe your HVAC boots, usually for the HVAC boots or just a circle, you know, a 4-inch diameter fixture, electrical outlet fixture, you can easily trace that or draw it out, no problem. But these are oddly shaped, as you can see. So tinfoil is your friend. So there you have it. That's only 2 rows, obviously. It's a 38-foot span. I've got a bunch more rows to do, but those are the tips and tricks to do this solo. If they're 8, 10, 12 foot, super easy. You can do it without any brackets. You can do anything. You can manhandle those in pretty easy. The 16 footers are a lot more work and a lot more headache. So they need the brackets if you're gonna do it solo. The 2x2s at the end are very helpful. The brackets really though is what make this work. You could do this without the 2x2s, but they do help. So anyway, you probably don't wanna watch me do this whole ceiling. Maybe I'll put it on time lapse and you can watch it. But I hope this was helpful, and I hope if you're doing tongue and groove that you have tight seams and good clean joints and you can do it solo. It's a lot slower, it's a lot more work. So if you have somebody who can help you, go do it, but everybody's tied up and honestly, it's sometimes kind of fun to do it on your own. So hope this helps. If you haven't done so yet, love it if you hit like and subscribe. Thanks.